Life is filled with talks and meetings we might not like, and presentations we'd rather skip. But since we're social creatures who need to communicate in almost everything we do, it makes sense for us all to try and get better at talking to each other. In this video, I'll share 8 key concepts from the book How to Talk to Anyone by Leil Lowndes. These concepts can enhance your communication skills, making you a more effective communicator both in your professional and personal life. With no further delay, let's begin with first one. First impressions always matter. Let's be honest, initial impressions matter a lot. When you encounter someone for the first time, your appearance and behavior leave a lasting impact on their memory, shaping future interactions. Since your face is the first thing people notice, it plays a crucial role in creating a positive first impression. Did your mom ever tell you to always make sure you smile when you meet new people? You may have found it annoying at the time, but she was right. A smile can make a big difference in whether or not you win someone over. People can spot a fake smile, however, so let the grin grow slowly, as this will make it appear more personal and genuine. Studies suggest that for women, having a real and friendly smile is extra important. In the workplace, women who don't rush their smiles are seen as more trustworthy. Another tip is not to give the same smile to everyone in a group, as it might make people uncomfortable. Try to change your smile a bit depending on who you're talking to. Your eyes are also an important asset in winning people over. It has been proven that establishing steady eye contact will help you gain both respect and affection. If you want to improve a relationship, maintain eye contact with that person even if they're not talking, and only break off that contact when you must. Now, with your face sorted out, let's move on to body language, which has a powerful influence on how you're perceived by others. For starters, it's important to recognize that just because someone's a stranger, it doesn't mean you have to act like she's one. Instead, when greeting someone for the first time, do so as if she were an old friend. Along with a warm smile, turn your body fully toward her so she can see you're giving her your undivided attention. You can also avoid falling out of her good graces by making sure not to fidget, which means keeping your hand gestures under control. It might sound strange, but research indicates that touching your face while speaking can make you appear less trustworthy. So stay composed and avoid putting your hands on your face. Second, nice greetings and regular gestures make for good chats. Before you meet with someone for the first time, you might have anxious thoughts like, what if we don't have anything in common? Or, what are we going to talk about? Luckily, you'll often find that a smooth introduction is all that's needed to get a good conversation going. The simplest way to make an introduction is to ask a friend you share, or the event host to make it for you. Another option is to inquire about the unknown person, giving you a reason to initiate the conversation. Lastly, you can hang around the stranger, eavesdrop, and wait for a chance to join in. One classic technique for getting others to come talk to you is to have an icebreaker or conversation starter that you can bring with you, such as a vintage pocket watch or one-of-a-kind purse. This opens the door for someone to ask, "Where did you get that?" Before you know it, you're chatting like the best of friends. If you're the one hosting the meeting, you can make things easier by making introductions and including 1 or 2 interesting facts about each person. This way, everyone has a chance to ask a follow-up question and get the ball rolling. Once introductions are made and the conversation has started, your attention can then focus on your demeanor. Nobody likes being trapped in a conversation where someone is going on and on about a dull and never-ending story. To avoid putting others through this, pay careful attention to how they talk and react. Adapt your mood and tone of voice to theirs, and everyone is likely to stay interested and involved. For example, if they're smiling and using lively gestures, mirror that. On the other hand, if the atmosphere is serious and people are sitting back, try to match that vibe. When you find the right moment to join a conversation, the key is to speak confidently and bring a positive attitude. It matters more than the specific words you use. Just make sure to steer clear of rude or unpleasant remarks, as they could create a negative first impression. Third, master the art of casual conversation. You may believe that small talk is unimportant and a pointless activity, but this is a misconception. In both your professional and personal interactions, small talk can be the deciding factor in either gaining someone's favor or making them uneasy. If you're not confident in your small talk abilities, make an effort to anticipate the expected questions you'll likely be asked. What questions always come up when getting to know someone? Chances are it's things like, "Where are you from?" or "What do you do?" And due to their perennial nature, these questions often solicit drab, abrupt, and uninviting answers. So instead of giving one-word answers like London and marketing, be prepared to elaborate. Keep the conversation flowing by leading into an interesting fact or anecdote that opens the door for another topic. For example, if your hometown is Washington, D.C., you could mention that it was designed by the same city planner who laid the plans for Paris. This could spark further conversation about traveling. Another effective suggestion is to prioritize being an attentive listener and understanding how to encourage your conversation partner to keep talking. It may sound contradictory, but one of the most effective ways to give the impression that you excel in conversations is by speaking less and letting your partner take the center stage. This way, they'll be engrossed in the conversation, appreciating your interest, and may not even notice that you're not saying much. A common way to keep a person talking is to use their pauses as an opportunity to take the last thing they said and repeat it in such a way that it puts the ball back in their court. By keeping a person talking, you can lead them to all manner of interesting revelations. An easy way to win some conversational kudos is to know who in the group has a great story, and then to give that person a proper introduction. This not only provides the group with entertainment, but the person with the story will most likely appreciate the way you gave them the opportunity to shine. Just make sure the story is appropriate and wasn't something you were told in confidentiality. Otherwise, this tactic could backfire rather awkwardly. When you speak, make an effort to steer clear of statements that could negatively impact how others perceive you. In the process of getting to know each other, there's often a temptation to share personal confessions or disclose vulnerabilities. However, unless the person is already highly impressed with you, divulging a secret might only leave them questioning what else you might be concealing. Fourth, in all your relationships, remember to be thoughtful. A simple way to enhance your relationships is by being more thoughtful. First, recognize that people occasionally need to express their frustrations, especially after a challenging day. Be patient, letting them vent and express their feelings, and demonstrate empathy. This can help them relax, and once they do, you can then transition the conversation to what you want to discuss. Second, make sure you don't leave a conversation hanging. Say your friend is in the middle of a great story when a waiter interrupts her to take your orders. Once the distraction has been dealt with, don't forget to return to your friend and have her pick up where she left off. The third tip is that sometimes things are best left unsaid. Everyone has moments they hope no one notices, like, say, if they experience a certain smelly and embarrassing biological function when in the company of someone else. But that doesn't mean you or the other person have to acknowledge it with a remark. The considerate thing to do is continue the conversation as if it never happened. Rest assured, your friend will be very grateful for this. The final form of considerate behavior is to perfect the art of the favor. You probably know how great you feel when you do someone a favor, right? But if someone asks you to drop everything and do him a favor right now, that's a different story. He comes off as rude. So don't make this mistake yourself. Similarly, if you do someone a favor, don't immediately ask for something in return. Instead, let time pass so that they know you performed your favor out of friendship. Only later, bring up what you want. Lastly, acknowledge that we all take note of the favors we do for friends and colleagues. Therefore, it's important to express genuine gratitude and appreciation to those who consistently support you. Fifth, appearing professional is essential for achieving success in your career. If you're an aspiring professional, you probably seek opportunities to make a positive impression on your superiors and propel your career forward. An essential strategy for achieving this is to consistently maintain a professional demeanor. When engaging with your boss, prioritize being concise and straightforward, as influential individuals often have limited time and appreciate direct communication. What's more, try to retain your subject's focus while talking. By starting your sentences with "you," the listener is bound to pay more attention to the words that follow. Along these same lines, when you're considering how to deliver news, think about what your listener's response is likely to be and try to anticipate it in your communication. For example, if you think they'll be happy to hear the news, deliver it with a smile. If it's disappointing news, tell them with a compassionate sigh. Also, think about what the listener might be interested in. If you're meeting a potential client, don't just tell them your job title, tell them what you do for people. If you're an accountant, say, "I arrange people's finances and find new ways for them to save money." If you're a hairdresser, mention how your job allows you to find the perfect cut that suits a client's face and personality. However, like in any form of communication, there are numerous mistakes to avoid when attempting to sound professional. Here are some of the most typical ones. First, if you discover that you have something in common with someone, don't overreact with a sudden, "Oh wow, me too." The professional response is to stay calm, letting the reveal happen naturally over the course of the conversation. The other person is bound to be impressed by your cool demeanor. Second, you should avoid cliches at all costs. Third, avoid asking individuals, "What is your job?" Instead, inquire about something like, "How do you usually spend your time?" Some individuals might not enjoy talking about their work, but they're likely to share their interests. Lastly, keep in mind that professionals refrain from teasing, embarrassing, or making jokes at the expense of others. Sixth, keep your job and leisure separately. Moving up in your career is tough, but once you reach the top, a new challenge emerges, staying there and avoiding setbacks. A valuable suggestion for bosses is to keep work matters separate from personal time. Even during a business lunch, it's advised to delay serious work discussions until after dessert, as heavy topics can spoil the meal. The same applies to parties, which are better for networking than serious business talks. Keep it casual and schedule a separate meeting for important discussions. When it's time for business, maintain honesty and present your best self. When meeting or pitching to clients, people tend to make the mistake of talking about how much the customer is going to benefit, while avoiding the subject of what they'll get out of the deal. While you might think this is just being polite, it can come across as disingenuous. Instead, just be transparent and upfront about how both the client and yourself will benefit. This way, they won't think that you're trying to pull a fast one. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Some businesses actually love messing up because it allows them to impress the customer by making up for it. So if you make a mistake, like sending out the wrong product, be apologetic and go the extra mile by making a gesture of goodwill, such as offering a gift card or free shipping on their next order. This way, you're likely to keep the customer, who may even spread the word about how great your service is. A final piece of advice that will surely make a positive impression is to consistently be the first to applaud or express your thoughts. Leaders are proactive, aren't they? They don't wait for instructions from others. In group situations, subtly position yourself as a leader by taking the initiative to applaud or share your opinion before anyone else does. Seventh, getting ready for meetings is beneficial. To increase the likelihood of a successful meeting with someone unfamiliar, a bit of preparation can make a significant difference. First, try to ensure you always have just the right thing to say. Research indicates that individuals with an extensive and varied vocabulary are perceived as more intelligent and creative. Therefore, it can be advantageous to enhance your communication by consulting a thesaurus for alternative words to replace those you frequently use. Think of it this way. If you pick up a new word once a day for 2 months, you'll soon come across as quite the clever and creative wordsmith. Having some relevant quotations handy is another sign of wisdom. Whenever you come across a good quote, write it down and return to it until you know it by heart. You'll soon find that once you have an appropriate occasion to use it, you'll knock 'em dead. Getting ready can be particularly beneficial when you pay attention to the individuals you'll be meeting. For example, if you're going to a trade conference or a similar gathering, familiarize yourself with business terminology by reading trade magazines or exploring relevant websites. Demonstrating awareness of the current pressing issues can impress others. Possessing insider knowledge like this increases the chances that you'll be welcomed into the inner circle and treated with a bit more respect than a stranger would be. Likewise, when making a significant purchase such as a car, being well-versed in the terminology and intricacies of the product can often result in a more favorable deal from the salesperson. This principle also applies when you're a tourist or on a business trip. Understanding local customs and history reduces the chances of making awkward comments or embarrassing yourself. One hapless businessman learned this the hard way. He was about to close a deal in Brazil when he made the OK hand gesture. Little did he know that in Brazil, this means something else entirely and is very rude. While this information may not be in your common travel guide, it just goes to show how easily miscommunication can mess up a meeting or blow a deal. So do your part to ensure things go smoothly by taking the time to be as prepared as you can. 8th, strong phone skills can compensate for the absence of visual cues. For many individuals, speaking on the phone isn't the preferred method of conversation. Research suggests that people lose 30% of the energy in their voice during phone calls. However, there are some strategies you can adopt to receive positive feedback. When you answer the phone, do so in a crisp and professional manner. When the caller identifies himself, greet him like you would a long-lost friend. This way, they'll feel warm and welcome, and you'll already be off to a great start. Always remember that, on the phone, people can't read your facial expressions, your body language, or your hand gestures. So it's up to you to translate that visual information into verbal cues. This means that instead of nodding, make sure to say, "Uh-huh, I'm so happy to hear that," or "Please continue," so that they know what's on your mind and that you're fully engaged in the conversation. Additionally, individuals tend to become more attentive when they hear their own name. Therefore, you can maintain someone's focus by incorporating their name more often than usual. However, be cautious about extending this practice to in-person conversations, as using a person's name excessively may come across as insincere or overly flattering. When you want to conduct business over the phone, it doesn't hurt to always ask the other person if it's a good time to talk, and only carry on if it's clear that they have time. It's also not uncommon to have a hard time getting past someone's stubborn assistant. But here's a trick you can try. Instead of asking to talk to Miss Smith, just ask, "Is she in today?" This implies familiarity and suggests you're a close friend who deserves to be put at the top of the callback queue. If you're in charge of screening calls, there's a technique to make rejections more gentle for the caller. Instruct your staff to inform them that they will be connected immediately. After briefly putting the caller on hold, have your staff apologize and explain that you are currently unavailable. This approach makes it less likely for the caller to feel personally rejected. With these tips, you should be on your way to making the most out of every phone conversation. With some basic understanding of human nature and people's habits, anyone can learn how to be a better communicator and improve their relationships. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please leave your like and subscribe to my channel.